And that was Maria Smilios, the author of The Black Angels, the untold story of the nurses who helped cure tuberculosis. Now, as you're aware, the Union again this year is providing an opportunity for youth across the world to attend, participate and present at the conference as part of the Youth for Lung Health initiative. And here on UnionLIVE, we are featuring some of these individuals. Well, we're turning our attention now to a significant development in the fight against drug-resistant TB. And our next guest has been at the forefront of the groundbreaking TB-PRACTECAL clinic trial, leading communications, community engagement and coordination across trial sites in Belarus, South Africa and Uzbekistan. And to find out more, I'm joined by Nicola James, who's the Senior Clinical Research Associate at Médecins Sans Frontières, or Doctors Without Borders. Nicola, it's so lovely to have you on UnionLIVE. Thank you so much for joining us today. First of all, what exactly is TB-PRACTECAL and why did MSF sponsor a clinical trial?
So there were no new treatments for TB for over 50 years, and drug-resistant TB treatments were up to 2 years long. The side effects were horrific. They were injectables and it was terrible. And pharmaceutical companies, well, it was only 50% effective. Pharmaceutical companies wouldn't invest in TB drug development because TB is predominantly a disease of poverty, and so there was no room for them to make any profit. So MSF decided to take the lead on clinical trials in the face of this overlooked humanitarian emergency, and that's where TB-PRACTECAL came in. So TB-PRACTECAL is a phase 2-3 clinical trial, and it's found better, safer, more effective 6-month all-oral treatment for drug-resistant TB. And we were really excited to present the final results today in the late breaker session, and we've also published today in the Lancet Respiratory Medicine.
It's a very important day for you, isn't it? So,
yes.
And the TB-PRACTECAL preliminary results were actually first communicated at the conference 2 years ago, when obviously it was online. So there's obviously been a lot of progress since then, and the fact you've made an announcement today. But yeah, share that progress over the last 2 days, 2 years even.
Yeah, it's been amazing. There's been a lot of progress, and in what we've done at MSF is really to try and get the treatment out to the people who need it as quickly as possible. So in December last year, the WHO updated their drug-resistant TB guidelines to recommend BPAL-M, the TB-PRACTECAL regimen, and it's now, to date, over 1,000 people have started on the treatment. So in countries such as Belarus and Uzbekistan, that's through operational research, and Sierra Leone was the first country to roll out through their routine health service last year. So there's a session on Saturday afternoon at 1:30 to discuss the the data of that and the experience. So I really recommend attending. And also MSF are continuing to work with the national TB programs to scale up the treatment worldwide. And to support that, we've got an online toolkit. So there's training resources and patient materials which are available on the MSF TB-PRACTECAL website to download for free.
So very thorough, thought-through process here. But there's got to be some challenges, hasn't there? So what are the challenges that are associated currently?
Yeah, of course. So bedaquiline, one of the drugs in the regimen, was a very high cost, and there's been a lot of work recently to reduce that cost. And Johnson & Johnson, the manufacturer, have dropped the secondary patent. So that's a huge achievement. And really now we need countries to scale up. But it's very similar with diagnostics. There's been huge advances recently to reduce the cost of the test for the MTB Gene Expert RIF test, but the XDR-TB testing is still, the price is still too high. So the Time for 5 campaign run by MSF and civil society organisations and TB activists is really calling on Cepheid and Danafer to reduce that cost more, to make it more accessible. And also to add that TB-related stigma is still a massive challenge for people to seek medical treatment, and so really communicating effectively with affected communities that DRTB is curable and this treatment is available is really important.
Yeah, this is the beauty of this conference. It does shine a spotlight on those affected communities. So what are some experiences from the TB-PRACTECAL clinical trial to communicate the results and availability of the regimen?
So we have a session on Saturday morning at the Community Connect at 8:30 and it's called From TB Survivor to TB Advocate, and it talks about the experiences from the trial working with participants to disseminate the findings and change policy. And that's from the trial, but also from wider experiences. But personally, a really inspirational journey that I've had working with TB survivors and participants from the trial when they've wanted to share their stories, either through social media campaigns or they've joined the panel discussions from the clinical trial at the Union the last 2 years online. And I think COVID gave different opportunities for affected communities to engage in conversations, but really that needs to become the norm. These opportunities to collaborate between researchers and communities, we need to do that throughout the research cycle.
And you already hinted at the role that you've played, but what exactly has your role in the clinical trial entailed?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, community engagement and communications, and also making sure that the clinical trial adheres to the regulations. But some of my favourite experiences have been working with the community advisory boards in South Africa. So they were already established at the trial sites, and we worked together on the results dissemination plans and materials. And also, it's very exciting, the different variety of communications. So in Uzbekistan, we did local radio announcements and also Twitter Spaces talks on World TB Day the last couple of years as well, which I'd really recommend.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We've run out of time. I could carry on chatting to you forever, Nicola. So that's Nicola James, the Senior Clinical Research Associate at Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.